Hello and welcome to the CNBC-TV18 Overdrive Awards jury round for the year 2016. Now this year we've got 16 cars and 17 two-wheelers all fighting for the coveted prize of Car of the Year, Bike of the Year and of course Scooter of the Year. Now we've also got an illustrious set of jury members, just as we do every year. There's some additions as well. We've got MotoGP riders, supercar and superbike collectors, people with more than 25 years of experience in this industry. You know what? Let me just introduce you to them. Bharat Reddy has always had proclivities towards two-wheelers, but his passions have extended to the realm of four-wheelers. And how? He doesn't just own a fair few fast machines, but also gets them down to the racetrack to decimate lap records. Vijay Parmar is the head honcho for Himalayan Motorsport, a company that is responsible for India's most grueling rally raid, the treacherous Raid de Himalaya, since its commencement. Bertrand D'Souza has been the pit boss for the Overdrive team for a quarter of his 16-year career as an automotive journalist. No person knows more about traversing through India in a car than Bob Rupani, Overdrive's consulting editor and the author of many automotive and travel books. Hali Prabhakar has held the helm of Overdrive's road testing department for 5 years now. And well, then there's me, Jamshed Patel, the guy you've been seeing do the TV bits for Overdrive. This episode we are going to bring you the contenders on four wheels, all fighting for the Desiderate Award of the 2016 CNBC-TV18 Overdrive Car of the Year.
I think after the Maruti Swift, which garnered I forget how many awards, the Baleno is the next best product from Maruti. Not a great looking machine, it's a good looking machine. It's got presence, it will catch the eye. But what I like is the space, especially the rear seat.
Maruti has done tremendously well where feature sets are concerned, and a lot of consumers are looking for more and more features inside their cars today. And for the first time, Maruti has outdone Hyundai where features are concerned.
The car should have been offered with a 90 PS motor like the S-Cross and the Fiat with the VGT in it, but the 75 PS engine does impress. It's quite sufficient, the power.
All the benefits of being in that sub 4 meter category, all of that passes on to the consumers. So Maruti is able to control the pricing very, very well on this. Very competitive pricing for that matter on the Baleno. Overall, therefore, I think Maruti's Baleno is one of the strongest contenders we have for the Overdrive Awards this year.
The Honda Jazz has been a very popular car in the Indian market, and now Honda has brought it back as a new generation for this year. Now in this new generation you do see that in terms of the styling and the features and the interiors as well, it does offer a lot which is very similar to the Honda City, but that's not necessarily a very bad thing.
In my opinion, the Honda Jazz, the first impressions is it's got bulletproof build quality. The other nice thing about the Honda I like is the way you can manipulate the seats in the car, especially the rear. So if you're a family person and you have kids, it's really nice. And if you just want to carry some extra load, you can do that.
Now both these engines, the 1.2 petrol and the 1.5 diesel in the Jazz, are very good at the low end and the mid-range, but once you get to highway cruising speeds and higher up in the rev band, that's when you realize that the torque actually tapers off just a little bit.
The Honda Jazz is, I think, amongst the most practical hatchbacks. It doesn't have a lot of glamour, but a lot of utility. It's a really very, very practical car.
The car is an improvement over all the Tata products we've seen so far, be it quality, performance, overall styling, everything. In fact, the overall package is a significantly big improvement over the previous Tata models.
The one slight problem I have with the Tata Bolt, despite all the efforts of Tata and the reworked X11 platform, is that its styling still is reminiscent of the Indica, which is something that I think that they should have moved away from.
Both the Revotron and the diesel engines, well, they definitely have a future ahead of them. And the Bolt, they're quite capable of showcasing all of their abilities, whether it's the good torque spread that you require, whether it's the fuel efficiency that you require, even the petrol for that matter. It's a very refined engine, so if you want comfort and luxury in that sense, the Bolt has enough of that to offer for you.
The I20 Active is essentially another example of this new wave of cross-style hatchbacks that try to emulate SUVs now, or crossovers rather, but it is also based on the Elite I20 hatchback, which practically won all the awards, so it had a brilliant start in that. But it also has many more features on offer. There's 20mm more ground clearance as well, and what they've done is that to counter the body roll because of that extended suspension, they've also tweaked it a little bit so you don't really notice that body roll as much.
Well, the I20 has got a really nice design to it. The look of that Alfa Romeo look that they've captured, especially from the back, is really what has sold the I20.
The only thing more than anything else that I really didn't like about this car was the two-tone interiors, and that's me personally. I will repeat that because the interior is blue and black, and I don't see how that works. And I don't think that would be everybody's cup of tea.
So essentially, if you treat it as just another variant of the i20 family, it actually kind of makes more sense than the elite i20 as well.
Someone to think and conceive that an entry-level hatch should look like an SUV is an out-of-the-box idea. I like out-of-the-box ideas. So I give it full marks for out-of-the-box thinking, for bringing something new into the segment.
It's impressive that Renault is kind of packaged in so much space in such a tiny footprint, especially the boot space. Quite impressive to see. When you open the boot, you realize it's quite a spacious storage there.
If you look at the center console, it's got a nice touchscreen CD entertainment system, which is very nice. I really like that. And you know, it's something to brag about when you get into a car in that segment and for the price point it comes in.
Cars like this, which are affordable, are generally used a lot in rural areas, in our hilly areas, hilly states. You will find cars like this being used. Altos are there all over. The Quid, I'm sure, will make it there, and that additional ground clearance will be highly appreciated by its users. What it lacks in comparison to its rivals, I would say first it's the refinement, and two, again, the quality of the interiors.
Fiat Abarth Punto was a complete and total surprise. The engine is really a gem. It's pulling through all the gears, never lost a single RPM. It's really a performance engine, and for a car to come to India like this is the big surprise.
I think great exterior look as well. There's still a lot more to be seen from Fiat with the Punto Abarth. We'd like to see a lot more graphic, quality to it, more stickering or better colors, better options in the interiors as well. The Punto Abarth, for a very long time, what we've been crying out loud for is a stronger engine, a more powerful engine, and finally Fiat has put the Abarth engine in that.
On the racetrack, BIC is quite large for a car like the Abarth, but it's still good fun getting out of the corners, especially because of that tremendous torque that's on offer. The front end doesn't have that much feel, and because of the tyres, and I think better tyres will significantly improve the dynamics of the Punto Abarth.
So for those looking for pure performance, the Punto Abarth is a fantastic option.
Ford's always made cars that put a smile on your face. On the road, very capable car, easy to drive in town. In fact, Ford's made it a lot more simpler and more relaxed to drive in town, rather than take a age-old Fiesta chassis and make it stiff.
What the Ford Figo hatchback brings to the OD Awards, the CNBC-TV18 Overdrive Awards, is a strong, diverse suite of engines and options for almost every consumer that is looking out for various options for that matter. You want a diesel, you want a petrol, you want an automatic, the Ford Figo has that option for you.
Ford Figo hatchback was another surprise. We expected it to be slow and clunky, but it wasn't. It had great power, and its handling was the most precise of the lot.
The same engine on the EcoSport doesn't do much, but on the Figo there's a tremendous difference. And since the Figo is a hatchback, it's even better than the Aspire sedan.
The Figo comes packed with a lot of features that any consumer will appreciate a lot. It's also one of the things that make it stand out amongst all the other cars in this contention for the CNBC-TV18 Overdrive Awards.
Now, I know that looks are subjective, but the CLA 200 is, I dare say, one of the best looking cars on our roads today. Now, the CLS-inspired design, that MFA platform, and the striking lines and curves really works to make it one of the most attractive cars that has been launched in India this year.
On the flip side, you get a great interior package, but you don't get a lot of space. As a practical car to be used every day, well, the spacing inside that car, well, it's not the most comfortable.
The braking was much better than the previous Mercedes that we've tested before, and brought the car to a halt really quickly.
The ride quality, I think, is another disadvantage over here because it's stiffly sprung. Mercedes-Benz cars in this generation are going closer and closer towards where BMW used to exist, for instance. So they want to get more dynamism out of their cars, as a result of which the suspension setups have grown stiffer.
The CNBC-TV18 has the 2.1-litre diesel engine, which is an aging engine to say the least, but now for the performance enthusiasts, they also have a 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine. 0 to 100 in 7.8 seconds, 184 PS of power, and those looks. That is one desirable car. Figo aspires Ford's late entry into this very coveted sub-4 meter segment now. The segment is full of cars that aren't really the best looking cars on our roads.
I love the styling. Very, very impressive looking car. Lot of road presence. I like the way it drives. Actually, most Fords drive very well, and this one also does.
The best part about the car is the way it handles. The engine is really nice and potent. The gearbox is nice and to the point, and the brakes are really nice.
I would like to see better quality of interiors, the color combinations, the quality of fabrics, materials. But having said that, I'll also say that I like the way space has been created for storage. For example, the coin box, which is right there at the end of the dash, is something you don't see normally. So I like things like that.
Now when you get on the insides of the Ford Figo Aspire, you realize that the interiors are a little similar to the EcoSport, but you get a lot of additional extras as well. For example, there are 20 storage spaces, 6 airbags, which no other car in the segment has. I like particularly the sound system and especially the My Key feature as well.
The Datsun Go Plus brings a strong suit, a 7-seater suit to its contention because effectively there aren't too many MUVs or practical extended wheelbase, long form hatchbacks in this segment.
I think the Go Plus is a very interesting car. First of all, Datsun's taken a hatchback, added some length and made a station wagon kind of a body format. It's essentially a hatchback, but because of that it retains that fun character of the Go, which I really like.
On the flip side, the 7 seats in the Datsun Go Plus, well, they're not the most comfortable seating options that you can get with them. There isn't a lot of space for 7 people inside that, though the 2 seats right at the end, those are best suited for kids.
The surprising part was, of course, it was quite quick, which was not expected. So the acceleration was great.
A very strong aspect of the Datsun Go Plus is, of course, its fuel efficiency. There isn't any MPV in that segment, very few MPVs for that matter, that can offer you an overall efficiency of about 22 kilometers per litre. Now that's brilliant for this segment. When Land Rover introduced the Discovery Sport in India, it fell into a very, very sweet spot where its pricing is concerned, between that 45 lakh rupee and 65 lakh rupee segment, simply because it was one of the only premium SUVs in that segment to offer a 7-seat option.
I wish there were more standard features on it, but that also makes it a lot more affordable. The starting price, at least the Discovery, starts at a much more affordable price now, and there are a lot of options. The top variant is what offers the 190 PS motor, which we really like, but the 150 PS isn't that bad. The 150 PS motor is still quite powerful and I think sufficient for our conditions.
I have had the opportunity to do some serious off-roading in it just recently in Australia, and I have a lot of respect and regard for the car. And at the price that it's available, I think you should just go for it.
I'm not too fond of the way the Discovery Sports have been styled. They're too close or too similar to what the Range Rovers have come.
First impressions, it's the most affordable Discovery out there, so it doesn't feel as, I would say, a premium as, say, the Range Rovers or the Land Rover models, but the whole point of this Discovery series is to offer good luxury and good dynamics and off-roading at the same time.
Mahindra as a manufacturer has matured considerably from making the Baleno and the Scorpio and the XUV as well. I think the TUV300 is a direction that they're taking for the future, and it's a good step, it's a good direction to head in.
I don't like the way it looks, first thing. but that also makes it a lot more interesting. There's so many people out there looking at us, lot of eyeballs, and I think it does attract a lot of attention, though there is a bit of fatigue, especially driving in town thanks to the heavy clutch. The engine does offer a lot of decent torque and power, and it's quite linear to drive around in town. It's good to see Mahindra offering a lot of segment first features and something unique which they're always trying to give.
I would say Mahindra have finally made their best product ever. For me, the TUV, I'm not a fan of its styling, but everything else, the way space is utilized in that vehicle, someone's put a lot of thought into it.
When you see the S-Cross at first and you compare it to other crossovers or SUVs in the segment, you realize that it kind of straddles the gap between a hatchback and an SUV, but that's only until you get into the insides, that's when everything is forgiven because of just the sheer amount of space that you have on the insides.
Good ground clearance, great interiors with a lot of space, with a big huge boot as well to store whatever you have to store inside there. And of course that feature set and the way all that fits and the finish that is there, the finish quality inside the S-Cross is tremendous.
The S-Cross comes with Fiat's new 1.6-litre DDIS 320 engine, which might not be the most powerful engine out there, but it's certainly one of the most fluid, one of the most silent, and one of the most refined engines that you can drive.
Suzuki S-Cross was softer suspended, very comfortable to ride on. But because of a result of the soft suspension, the cornering was not so sharp.
Fuel efficiency is fantastic. It's one of the best in the class. You get an overall of about 16.5 kilometers per litre, which is the best amongst everything else that is there in that segment. It is a premium crossover, and Maruti has done a tremendous job of it.
The Mercedes-Benz GLE 350 is essentially the new generation of the ML class that has done so well for Mercedes-Benz in India and globally. But is it an all-new generation? Not really. It's just an upgrade apart from the obvious name change itself.
It's got a great cabin inside with a lot of space in there. Ride quality, again, very fantastic ride quality. What do I say? Brilliant ride quality for Indian conditions especially. The suspension absorbs everything very comfortably.
What it gets that's brand new, and it's the first Mercedes-Benz car to get it, is the 9G-tronic, which replaces the 7G-tronic automatic transmission. Now this essentially reduces the engine speed, so you can cruise at 100 kilometers an hour at 1300 RPMs, which also means a slightly more efficiency, but it also reduces the 0 to 100 times with 0.3 of a second.
The safety features are phenomenal, and when you're traveling in a car at 80 kilometers an hour, and you will not know about it, but if you were to crash at 240 kmph, in all probability the Merc will keep you alive.
I think very refined engines as well. Those diesels are extremely refined. Once you're sitting inside that cabin in the GLE, there's very little that you can hear of the world outside once those windows are rolled up. So I think comfort, the refinement, and the luxury that you would want in a premium SUV, all there inside the GLE.
The Hyundai Creta was easily one of the most anticipated cars, SUVs of 2015, and there was a lot riding on that car for Hyundai in India.
Yeah, Hyundai has not overdone itself with its fluidic design. I personally was not a very big fan of it. It looks, they've refrained from going nuts with the design, and that is something I really like about it.
In terms of the engines on offer, it's got the same engines as the Verna, so the 1.6 petrol and the 1.6 diesel are easily the best performing engines in its segment when it comes to just sheer numbers on paper.
Once you get inside, it's classic Hyundai. You get what you pay for, really good build quality, all the switchgear and the knobs, all of them have an air of quality about them.
The Hyundai Creta, again, the driving dynamics are far superior than what you've seen in some of their earlier cars. So obviously with each new product, they are getting simply better and better and making better products. The Innova has ruled that segment forever. The Renault Logy, I think, is a good rival, very practical, good use of space, and it's a workhorse. What it lacks, of course, is that flair of styling. which is surprising because the French are known for their flair in styling.
The Renault Logy is one of our favorite MPVs out there. It's based on the Duster, a very capable product too. And because it's based on that same platform, it really shows it's perfect for our country. The Logy also offers flexible seating, so that there's a 7-seater and an 8-seater configuration. The interior may not be very appealing, but it's significantly better than the Duster in my opinion. And that makes it a good package.
A Renault Logy for me personally feels like a car that you can drive yourself, because the way you sit in an Innova is you sit really high and tall, and the diesel engine and the gearbox is not the most refined, which is very good and bulletproof, but not the most refined. But whereas in the Logy, when you sit in the car and you start driving it, it does feel like a car to drive.